My wonderful, beautiful, amazing Capricorn. I'm Gabriella from Gabriella's Vampire Tarot. For today, I'm going to be doing your general love reading, your 5 card spread. But before I do that, I'm going to offer these 24 red roses as a token of my love and appreciation for your love, support, and devotion towards my channel. And thank you so much for joining me today as well. So, this 5 card love reading includes how the first card represents you, the second, the other person, the third, the relationship, the fourth, the past, fifth, the future. Then I'm going to draw a vampire oracle for you, and then a favole and 1 card from the French tarot deck of Le Tarot Interdit Vampiria. And look at one of my favorite cards for you, the Wheel of Fortune. Wow. You know, you're just probably somebody that just has so much fortune and luck on your side, but maybe you just have, so much, fortune and stuff. But either way, this is interesting because, even though you are a cardinal sign, and this is considered a fixed card for Leos, Aquariuses, Scorpioses, and Tauruses, but you could always have any of those placements in your star chart. But you're somebody that just comes across as being somebody's wheel of fortune. Uh-huh. I mean, at least that's one positive, thing to watch and stuff like that. But mind you, is that make sure that the person actually wants to be with you for who you are, your personality, your looks, your love, your support, and that, you both, kind of grow and blah, blah, blah up into, in this harmonious relationship. Because the thing is that there's a lot of humans out there that pretty much are so one-sided to one angle where, it's like, is that they would actually, prefer to be with somebody who's not really all attractive according to their standards, but that they are willing to settle down for somebody because they have a lot of money. So this is something that you should definitely look into, especially when it comes to like a Wheel of Fortunes kind of idea, is that you pretty much, are, that, somebody sees you not just as a currency sign or just somebody who's just a fortunate somebody, but that somebody really says, okay, just because you have a lot of money, the thing is you want to know that you can trust the other person, right? Because you are a grounded, rational earth sign that you pretty much just think, okay, it's like, I want to find somebody. I mean, this is interesting. Yeah. I think, isn't that a bat on it or something? But other than that, but let's see who the other person is, because then you get Chariot, Cancer energy. Okay. Now let's look at the single, Capricorns for a moment, because, I see that you pretty much are practically like a Wheel of Fortune type of person, but you also have this motivation and desire to want to find true love yourself. And it seems like that a lot of people, it seems like even the previous zodiac signs for this week's reading, they all pretty much, they all have all of their affairs taken care of. They're all jobs, their careers, their homes, their cars, their vehicles taken care of. But that one thing that's missing is love or companionship. I think that's kind of like a key theme for a lot of zodiacs, is that they pretty much have everything going for them, except, the only thing that they want is companionship right now. So I see you actually, boarding that beautiful opportunity, this Chariot, just thinking, okay, I'm going to head out and see where it's going to be guiding me towards. Yes, I have like this beautiful Wheel of Fortune. You could be a luxurious, rich individual, but the only thing that you are heading off towards right now is love or companionship. But on the other side, the other person could also be heading towards you. Like I even mentioned before that, because the thing is, it's like, you want to make sure that people love you for who you are and not because of your rich background. Let's say that you own mansions, castles, manors, you're just a very rich, successful individual and stuff like that. But this person, is only too one-sided and thinks, well, it's like, I don't care about your appearance per se, but your money is something that really called out to me, and that's why this person could also be highly ambitious on heading towards you as well. Though the thing is the relationship is based off of the Four of Pentacles. It's about some kind of like comfort, or just being in a comfortable position in other ways as well. But what I'm kind of getting here is maybe it's like, it could eventually be true love. Maybe you come across as this, a Wheel of Fortune person, but this person actually is mostly seeking like some kind of comfort and just wanting to be in a basic means as well. So maybe this person could eventually come across as an honest and truthful individual that pretty much just thinks, okay, it's like I am craving and desiring more of being in a comfortable setting. Yes, I don't care about castles or mansions or lavish lifestyles, stuff like that. No, this person wants to be in just the basic means of maybe an apartment, or maybe just only having this or that taken care of in other ways as well. But either way, it just also shows that you're a very, grounded and also realistic and rational Earth sign, because you could be the knight in shining armor, or you could be the fair maiden, or whoever represents any of these characters in other ways as well. Because in the past, you get judgment, Scorpio energy. Aha. And the thing is about judgment. It's pretty much, a sense of clarity. Your head is out of the clouds. There's a grand announcement taking place, but there's a real, sense of realization. Because maybe you come across as this very, fortunate individual because you finally actually got this sense of clarity about what was going on. Maybe you did actually come across somebody who was mostly, out for your fortune rather than actually, true love and companionship in other ways. So I would definitely, verify that with yourself, but that's kind of what I already saw you doing, and maybe you were the one that eventually, took off on the chariot and headed off towards, maybe a more comfortable and more honest individual as well. Because in the future, Three of Swords. And what do we know about the Three of Swords is heartbreak, because this is also one of the cards I pulled for the vampire as well. So the thing is I'm just kind of a little bit worried, and that's why I even kind of threw in a couple of these cautionary tales in a sense to make sure that if you come across as this lucky and fortunate individual, that this person who's really doesn't want to be with you is not going to lead you towards heartbreak in other ways, because you could potentially face heartbreak in other ways. But maybe it could be that that you're the one who's on this chariot and you're heading off towards this fortunate person, and this person has a sense of clarity and understanding as well, and whoever. But I do see potential of heartbreak, but this could also be your internal fears and worries about the future, because I'll let you guys know about my future cards is that it's not always guaranteed to happen. Sometimes it's what we want, crave, and desire, or what we're worried about. So that's just something, just to kind of keep in mind, to see, if this is pretty much, an honest, legitimate, person, or that it can't, or, that it could potentially lead towards heartbreak. Because Oracle wants to say the monster within, internal struggle, personal challenges, and wanting to improve. The thing about a lot of humans is, it's like, it's like, okay, you meet somebody, you see their parents and stuff like that. And then, it's like a lot of humans, they tend to kind of be a little bit on the one-sided angle where they only focus on a person's background, their status, their wealth, and stuff like that. And then the other stuff, their, their manners or whoever, and other stuff and stuff like that, doesn't mean anything to them. But, let's say that you come across somebody who's very beautiful and handsome. Well, they could also be the monster within and be struggling and suffering with internal struggles, personal challenges, and wanting to improve. And maybe that's what could potentially lead towards heartbreak, is because a lot of people, maybe you personally, had to, will sacrifice and risk so much of your own personal well-being on resulting in this Wheel of Fortune status in your current, love reading, at least, because maybe you've suffered on the inside, maybe you have personal challenges, maybe you just want to improve, and this is, what you were actually improving on is that you actually became this wealthy, successful individual. And that's usually the case, is, a lot of people, when you've actually experienced any kind of heartbreak, or you could potentially, the thing is, a lot of people, who've improved and developed and actually did a lot of makeovers and anything wanting to improve, all of the motivation all came from some kind of heartbreak or some kind of negative event, that caused them to want to think, okay, you really think I'm not, wealthy or successful enough? Well, you know what? I'm going to actually, prove you guys wrong. And that's kind of what a lot of people, those are sad but true, the necessary evil kind of motivators, because normally you would want to actually find motivation to say, oh, I want to actually improve because it gives me confidence. But a lot of people, they have suffered enough that they pretty much just think, I'm not going to allow, my current situation to, decide my fate, so I'm going to do whatever it takes to improve my status in this life. Because Favoli wants to say Seven of Pentacles. So the thing is, it's like, it could be that you are currently in a relationship, but something is kind of holding you back. And it can happen. The thing is, it's like, even, the human, even asked me once. He said, if the vampire, if you were to ever find him and he would, will welcome you in open arms and to say, oh, Miss Gabriella, it's like I was wrong about, what I did to you. I'd love to come back into your life. Would you allow him to return into your life? And I said, probably not. And he said, you see, that's not a definite no. That's a probably not. There's still something within you that you might even reconsider the whole offering, right? Well, the thing is I've got questions. But on another thing is that there would definitely be hesitation involved because yes, the vampire would be there, but the thing is would I actually be very open and comfortable, to be expressing myself? So that's also any kind of hesitation that I would personally feel myself. But if you also, feel like, oh goodness, it's like that you've also suffered internally in many ways and you pretty much have struggled and you are a very successful person and there could be a potential heartbreak. Sometimes those situations happen because, it's like if you still have, this sadness within yourself that you pretty much have suffered in other ways. Well, sad but true, those are usually like traumas, and how would you call those, are scars, and they'll never really fully leave. It's like how, even the Three of Swords, just brings me back to that moment, right? So this is something, any form of hesitancy that could be taking place. But anyway, let's see what the French Tarot deck wants to finish off with. Quatre de Pieux. So you get 4 of Wands. So in the end, you will be dealing with some heartbreak, but you could also be dealing with maybe hesitation, but also happy home, happy hearth, happy family, and confidence with the 4 of Wands. Or you could also end up with an Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, or you personally have fire placements in your star chart. But either way, the 4 of Wands is somewhere in your future. Now, I can't say when, where, how, of course, because my tarot readings don't have a time frame. But otherwise, it looks like that, there's a lot of ups and downs, but it doesn't mean that it's, that there's no guarantee for a happy outcome in any way. So, my beautiful Capricorns, I'm going to have to leave it at this for now, but please be rest assured that next week I'm going back to Dracula because we're heading off towards the spooky season of All Hallows Eve. I want to thank you so much for joining me today. I want to wish you all the best of luck on where this journey may take you. And also, please feel free to stay tuned for the upcoming performance that's going to be presented on All Hallows Eve. But other than that, I love you guys incredibly. Thank you so much for joining me. Best of luck, and take excellent good care of yourself.